I want to confront a narrative gaining traction in both Kyiv and Washington that President Zelenskyy is sliding towards autocracy, that he seeks to muzzle critics, dismantle anti-corruption structures and centralise power. It's a seductive story, especially for those already sceptical of Ukraine's wartime democracy, but it's wrong. It's not only politically simplistic, it's morally careless. And let's begin with the obvious. If Zelenskyy wanted to silence dissent, then there would have been no protests in the street, but Kyiv, Lviv, Odessa and Dnipro were filled this week with thousands of demonstrators calling out government overreach. And what happened? Did the state unleash tear gas? No. Did it arrest organisers? No. Did Zelenskyy send tanks to the square as Putin did in 2012? No. Instead, within 48 hours, Zelenskyy listened, admitted poor communication and submitted draft legislation to restore the very independence the original law had compromised. That is not the behaviour of a strongman, that is the instinct of a democrat under pressure. Yes, the bill was passed on the 22nd of July, and that was a mistake, a serious one. It gave sweeping power to the Prosecutor General, undermining the autonomy of Nabu and Sapo and potentially shielding high-level allies like Alexei Chernyshov. I can't pronounce his name, I'm so sorry. Chernyshov. The justification to purge Russian influence rang hollow because no mechanisms in the law actually address that. But Zelenskyy's rapid course correction is not weakness, it's political maturity. No Ukrainian president has ever reversed course this swiftly after public pushback. This was not a Yanukovych moment. This was no Berkut. This was no Maidan blood. This was instead dialogue. Let's be clear. Ukraine's modern identity was forged in the fire during Euromaidan. The rejection of Russian civility in 2013 was not simply about geography, east or west, but sovereignty. If Ukraine bows automatically to American or EU pressure today, it undermines the very independence it fought for. When senior Trump-era officials warned Zelenskyy not to pass the original law on the 22nd of July, they were right on substance, but wrong on strategy. The West can advise, it can't dictate. Ukrainians remember what it means to have foreign masters, and Zelenskyy's independence, even when flawed, reflects that national memory. Now, to Ukrainska Pravda and the alleged intimidation campaign. Enter Sevgil Musayeva, who accuses the presidential office of pressuring advertisers and banning officials from speaking to her reporters. If true, it's deeply concerning, but we must keep perspective. Ukraine remains one of the few war-torn democracies where critical investigative journalism still thrives. The paper is not banned, its website is not blocked, its staff are not jailed. In Russia, this conversation could not be taking place because the journalists would be dead or disappeared or invited to walk through an open window on a top floor of one of the blocks of flats. Let's not equate financial coercion with state repression. One is a problem, the other is tyranny. And we saw something extraordinary this week. Protesters, young, defiant, fearless, returning to the streets of Kyiv to demand integrity from their government, and they were heard. This is not a nation backsliding into despotism. This is democracy tested and passing. The Euromaidan generation has grown up. It knows how to organise, how to pressure power, how to hold leaders accountable. It's not afraid of presidents. And it doesn't need rescuing by American pundits or European technocrats. Zelenskyy's decision to sign the original bill was unwise. A veto may have been more unwise. His quick reversal was courageous. And his decision to speak openly about his mistake is, in its own way, historic and heroic. In wartime, leaders stumble, but what matters is whether they recover with dignity and respect for the people. So yes, let's be vigilant. Let's be critical, certainly. But let's not confuse imperfection with authoritarianism. Ukraine is not Russia, and Zelenskyy is not a tyrant. He's a man leading a nation that has refused at every turn to be anyone's puppet, and that, I believe, still deserves our trust.